The red and blue police lights flashed across my suburban front yard that afternoon. I felt my stomach drop as I approached the door with Ethan hiding behind me. 2 officers stood on my porch looking professional but uncomfortable. Karen, the HOA president, stood behind them with her arms crossed triumphantly. "Officers, she has been harassing me and my family for days now," she claimed loudly. I took a slow, deep breath to stay calm and not explode in anger. This whole mess started because Karen stole my son Ethan's medical nebulizer. My name is Samantha and I am a single mom raising my 6-year-old son Ethan. Ethan has severe asthma that requires daily nebulizer treatments to keep him breathing easy. We moved to this nice suburban neighborhood 2 years ago for better air and schools. I never expected the HOA president to become our biggest nightmare here. Karen runs the homeowners association like it is her personal dictatorship. She issues violation notices for grass being too long or decorations out of place. One Tuesday, a delivery driver left a large box on my front porch. Inside was the new backup nebulizer machine prescribed specifically for Ethan by his doctor. I was at work, so I could not sign for it in person that day. When I came home later, the box had completely vanished from my porch. Panic hit me hard as I searched everywhere and asked the nearby neighbors. Then I saw something that made my blood start to boil instantly. Karen's daughter Madison was playing outside with what looked like my exact machine. I walked across the street trying my best to remain polite and reasonable. "Karen, I believe that is Ethan's medical nebulizer you have there," I said firmly. She gave me that signature smug smile that always made my skin crawl. "Oh, Samantha, it was cluttering your porch against clear HOA rules," she replied. I explained it had just been delivered and was critical for my son's health. Karen dismissed me with a wave of her hand like I was overreacting. "My Madison had a bad cough, so I borrowed it to help her," she said. I could not believe the sheer audacity and entitlement coming from her mouth. She refused to return it, claiming finders keepers in her twisted logic. That was when the real harassment campaign against me truly began in earnest. The following week, my mailbox filled up with multiple HOA violation notices. Fines for improper storage of medical equipment and other ridiculous petty infractions. Karen started spreading rumors at the community pool and neighborhood events. People began giving me pitying looks and avoiding conversations with me suddenly. They whispered about what a neglectful mother I must be to poor Ethan. The stress started affecting my sleep and my ability to focus at work. Ethan had a scary breathing episode one night without his proper machine. I rushed to the emergency room with him, feeling helpless and furious inside. The cheap replacement I bought was not nearly as effective for his condition. I decided enough was enough and started gathering solid evidence against Karen. I installed a reliable doorbell camera system around my house for protection. I also recorded every single conversation with my phone held openly in view. One evening, I went to Karen's house to ask for the machine one more time. I told her calmly that keeping medical equipment was not acceptable behavior. "You are blowing this way out of proportion, Samantha," she snapped back angrily. "It is just a machine and my daughter needed it more than Ethan," she added. That condescending tone made me see red, but I kept my cool outwardly. "Get off my property right now or I am calling the police," she threatened. I left without incident but knew she would follow through on her words. The very next day, the police officers arrived at my door unexpectedly. Karen had called 911 claiming I threatened her family with harm. The officers listened to her dramatic accusations while standing on my porch. I invited them inside and showed the clear video evidence from my recordings. In the footage, Karen openly admitted taking the nebulizer from my porch. The officers looked at each other and then addressed Karen directly. "Ma'am, this could be considered theft, especially involving medical equipment for a child." Karen began backpedaling quickly, saying she only borrowed it temporarily for Madison. They instructed her to return the machine immediately to resolve the situation peacefully. Later that evening, she dropped off the nebulizer, but it was dirty and possibly damaged. I had the equipment professionally inspected and cleaned at my own expense. Meanwhile, I prepared a detailed presentation for the upcoming HOA board meeting. I compiled all the videos, emails, witness statements, and her rule violations. At the board meeting, the room was filled with many curious neighbors watching. I presented the facts in a calm, collected, and professional manner throughout. The evidence clearly showed Karen's abuse of power and selective enforcement rules. She tried to interrupt with her usual dramatic and defensive explanations. However, the other board members had finally seen her true colors exposed. They voted to remove her as president right there in front of everyone. Karen sat stunned as her little kingdom of power crumbled around her. A sense of relief washed over me as justice finally started to prevail. The neighborhood slowly returned to a more peaceful and normal atmosphere afterward. Neighbors began speaking to me normally without the previous awkward judgments. Ethan could resume his proper breathing treatments without any further interruptions. We could enjoy our home and yard without constant fear of new complaints. It is incredible how a small amount of power can corrupt someone completely. Karen had preached community values while stealing from a sick child in need. Now when I see her walking around, she avoids all eye contact with me. The irony is thick because she always talked about helping fellow neighbors. Yet she was the one who caused the most harm in our community. I watch Ethan playing outside, breathing freely, and feel deep satisfaction inside. The suburban dream feels a little more real now without her ruling over it. Sometimes small victories against petty tyrants are the most satisfying ones. And if another power-hungry Karen emerges, I will be ready with evidence. But for now, peace has returned to our quiet corner of the HOA world. I sigh contentedly every morning knowing we stood up for what was right.